5-kilometer radius heat map from a layer in QGIS, and then to try and view it as an overlay on top of Google imagery. So in order to do this, we need a number of plugins. First of all, the Heatmap plugin. We're also going to use the one-band raster color table plugin, and we're also going to use the Open Layers plugin. You would add all of those from the Fetch Python plugins menu item. You will need to add a few repositories to do that, but I'll leave that to you. So if you've got your point layer, that's this layer over here, the green dots, and just check that that your layer is projected. We're using UTM-34 South over here, but it needs to be a projection that you can do analysis on, so it can't be only in geographic coordinates. And then what you need to do is go to the heat map menu under raster, click on heat map, your output raster name, and set your radius. We're going to use 5-kilometer radius over here, 5,000 meters, and we're going to set the cell size as 100 meters. And then click on OK, and it starts generating your heat map. So this can take a bit of time. I'm going to pause it while it completes that, and I'll carry on once it's done. Well, now it's finished processing, so we can see what that looks like. It just comes up with a grey block, as many rasters are. So we need to set the styling to get a look at that. So in the style window under layer properties, you'll see that there's the one-band single-band grayscale. Let's put it onto pseudo color and apply, and what that looks like. So you can see that it's got a large, that you can see the background is this strange blue color. So we can try and address that by making the background to be by setting the value 0 to transparent. So let's try that. Happens. So there we go. So it's quite dotty, not quite the sort of effect that we want to get. So we're going to next apply a raster mask, and the way we do it is using the raster calculator. And so what we want to do is, before we do that, actually, let's take a look at some. So let's get an idea of what sort of numbers we're looking at here. We want these areas to show up, but we don't want all of this noise. And so let's get a look at what that's. Click there. The value there is 7.6. Over here it's 17. So it seems to ramp up pretty quickly. So I think what we're going to do is set the value as 10 and have a look at what that, how that appears. So the way that you do that is you use this raster bands value over here, double click on it, it comes up where that's greater than or equal to 10. We'll set that as our cutoff, and that will just create a 1 or a 0 raster. So if we want to actually keep our values, we have to multiply it by the raster band again, and then we have to choose a name for it. So let's call this one add mask in there, and let it do its thing. It's not too slow about this one, so let it go. And then that also loads onto the adds itself to the layers. So let's turn this one off for now so that we can have a look at this one. Again, we'll look at properties. Now you see it's got a no data value of minus 3.4 times 10 to the 38. I think that's a bug in QGIS. I'm not sure why it does that, but it's very annoying. So we'll have to sort that out in a minute. Because you can see if we now add 0 and make that transparent, it works. Okay, now let's just turn off these points, and that's looking much more like the kind of map that we want to get out. So what we want to do now is apply a color ramp to this, using the color map option, and the one band raster, the plugin for that, the one band raster color table plugin. So actually what I'm going to do is apply that to this previous map. I've just found that the results come out a little bit better that way. So now I'm going to go to this raster colors plugin, and you have to choose the correct, I think I'm using the wrong one here. You have to select the layer that you want to apply it to, and then we can take a look at the results. So it loads in the background. Okay, so you can see here it's all black and white, and that's not what we want to have. So we're going to have to address that. Let's take a look at why that is. So let's look at the properties again, and if you look at metadata, no data value is minus 999, but the plugin seems to take that into account. Yeah, so what I want to do is reset that so that the no data value is actually 0, and it just comes out with, in my experience, a bit cleaner results. So to do that, I'm going to go to raster projections warp, and choose your input file. So that was that one. Don't set any CRS values, but set the no data value as 0, and then load that your canvas, and then just give that a name. Let's call that just 2. That. Okay, and let's let it finish that. This is also fairly quick. Done. Close that, and you can see that it's got those grey dots again. Now let's just go straight into this raster color table and see what happens this time. Now you can see that you don't have that black background anymore, and so the color table that comes out is more appropriate to your, it just matches your data better. So use the rainbow color palette. You can play around, see what you like. I've also found that for this sort of thing, the log distribution works better, and I'm going to tell it to create. So there we go. It looks quite loud over here, but if we apply that to the masked layer that we made over here, then it looks a little better. But first of all, we're going to have to sort out the no data value on this one too. So we go to project, reproject, give it a name, and load into canvas when finished. There we go. Close that. I'm going to turn off these other layers, and then let's set the, check out the properties again. Go to Style tab, set the color map to color map, and then here in the color map tab, we're going to load the color map that we created a little bit earlier with the plugin using this button over here. And then we just find that. Where is it now? Not too many directories here, but let's go through it anyway. And it was this it was this rainbow, the logarithmic rainbow color ramp. So it saves all of these different. Every time you click on a different color ramp, it saves a text file into your working directory, or into the same directory as your layer, I think, which you can then use to set the color map. So it's loaded it up over there. Let's apply that and see how it looks over here. Okay, there we go. So that looks a lot more. It's still quite psychedelic, but it's visually fairly good. And the advantage of doing it this way rather than just using the pseudo color settings is that if you've got multiple layers and they need to have comparable color maps, so that the intensity of the color has meaning in the scale that you're using, then the color map will let you do that, whereas the pseudo color setting will keep changing based on what the maximum and minimum value are in your layer. So now we've got this, let's go to the next stage of actually cropping it to our background layer. So we've got a shapefile that we're going to use to do that. So now we're going to go to reproject again, quite a useful menu item. And I think what we're going to do is at the same time put it into the Google Earth or not Google Earth, Google Maps CRS, the projection, so that we can just load it easily on there. So we're going to choose our choose the layer over here and give it an output name. Let's call this uncalled Google.tif, and yeah, just check that the source projection is correct. We choose the output projection as being WGS 84 pseudo mercator. You can filter in there and you'll find it under pseudo. Just double click on that or click OK and it'll choose it. 3857 is the EPSG code for that. We're going to just, to be sure, set the no data values as 0, and then our mask layer is going to be this SAUTM shapefile, and let's load that when we're done. So this may take a while, so I'm going to pause it in the meantime. I don't think it takes too long, but I'll get back once it's finished. Okay, so it's finished now. We can close this window. And it's not visible here because it's been reprojected, so it's in a different area. So what we're going to do is just check that this happened according to, well, finished as it should. And the yeah, it looks like it is in WGS. Yeah, it's in Google's pseudo mercator projection. And so we're going to turn off the other layers, and what we're going to do now is load the open layers. I'm going to use the hybrid layer, and then when that loads, I'm going to just, yeah, it does sometimes do some funny things, at least on my computer. Just zoom to this layer that we've now created, and it takes a bit of time to actually render properly. Of course, our Google layer needs to be below our point layer, or at least our raster. So you can see that it's got this now this funny blue color. I think what it does is it creates a transparency layer or a transparency band somehow. I'm not sure why it does, but we're going to just check the properties, go back to styling. You can see it's now got it in 3-band color. We're going to change it back to single band gray, and we're going to change it to color map. Then we're going to go to color map and then load that same color map that we used earlier. I'm going to just go to recently used. It remembers which one I used last, and apply that. So there you can see, let's just do a bit of transparency work. Let's put this up to about, I don't know, 30% so we can see what's going on underneath. And then you can zoom around and see the heat map over the underlying Google Earth layers. So there you go. Hope that that's useful for you. Thanks very much.